From this vantage point, the Earth seems so fragile. Yet down there, three great powers are locked.
This structure represents the colossal scale of American defense spending, an industrial machine unparalleled in history. China's military expansion is undeniable. The speed of its defense budget growth over the past 2 decades is reshaping the global balance of power.
Russia's military doctrine is committed to maintaining superpower status through weapons production and technological development.
Born from the Cold War's crucible, the weapons race has only accelerated in the past decade, reshaping the global landscape.
The United States at over $800 billion, China at over $220 billion, and Russia at over $65 billion. Behind the defense budget numbers are hundreds of thousands of workers, engineers, and soldiers whose lives are defined by this competition.
As military spending escalates across the globe, the media plays a crucial role in shaping public perception.
The public-private partnership between government and industry has made American weapons manufacturing the most technologically advanced in the world.
This is not merely a story about weapons, but about which nation's industrial system can outproduce. Around the clock, the dedicated workforce here assembles the most advanced weapon systems known to the world.
The tonnage of material processed daily at American facilities of this type is staggering, requiring immense energy to run operations at this scale.
The tolerances in military-grade machining are incredibly tight. A fraction of a millimeter deviation in a guidance system.
The integration of artificial intelligence and machine learning into American weapons guidance systems represents the newest frontier of the weapons race. The F-35 program represents the single most expensive weapons procurement project in human history, totaling over $1.
The engineering represents decades of accumulated knowledge and billions in research and development investment, highlighting the sheer power.
The production rate of American cruise missiles ensures an overwhelming conventional strike capability.
Every American weapon system must pass stringent testing protocols before entering service. The acceptable failure rate in military procurement is surprisingly low.
Ensuring the logistical chain is paramount. American-made defense systems move swiftly from this facility.
In the past 2 decades, China has built more military manufacturing capacity than any other nation in history.
China produces more steel annually than the next 10 nations combined, and a significant portion of this capacity is directed toward military applications.
China's hybrid manufacturing model combines the cost efficiency of large-scale human labor with the precision of
China's ballistic missile arsenal is expanding at an accelerating rate, already the largest in the world for land-based systems.
China's naval construction rate, noting that China has launched more warship tonnage in the past decade than the entire current strength of most of the world's navies.
China produces more drones than all other nations combined, representing a fundamental shift in how the next major conflict will be fought.
China's rapid advancement in electronic warfare capability. Systems that 10 years ago required technology China.
The relationship between the Communist Party, the PLA, and the defense industrial complex provides a structural advantage.
Unlike Western factories that slow down, set and stop, China facilities now producing modern Hypersonic missiles occupy the same ground where Soviet engineers built the weapons of the.
Russia's tradition of heavy industry, a legacy of working with large-scale metal forming, gives their weapons a particular physical robustness.
Russia's tank production capacity is unmatched. They have the largest tank fleet and the industrial base to expand it even under the pressure of combat operations.
Russia's doctrine of mass artillery fire, noting that Russian military thinking places enormous value on the ability.
Russia's submarine-based nuclear deterrent, the Boris-class program, represents Russia's most important strategic.
Russia's lead in hypersonic weapons development, noting that Russia was the first nation to field operational hypersonic missile systems.
The continuity of this knowledge across generations is itself a strategic asset that Russia has carefully maintained through
the resilience of Russian defense production. noting that the facilities were designed and built to operate through Russian winters and that the harsh conditions. Russian weapons are designed to a different standard than Western systems, prioritizing reliability and robustness in harsh conditions. What has just been shown across 3 nations is not the whole story, but only the visible surface of defense production systems.
The logistical chain that connects the factory floor to the deployment zone.
Operational security and weapons movement. The concealment of military logistics is as important as the weapons themselves.
Air power serves as the opening move in any major conflict between these nations, showcasing the speed at which they can cover vast distances.
The vertical launch systems on American destroyers can carry a mix of weapons tailored to any specific mission, giving them a flexibility that
China's silo-based missile force, noting that China has dramatically expanded the number of hardened underground missile silos in recent years. Russian mobile missile doctrine, noting that the mobility of Russia's strategic missile force is central to its survivability.
Then decision work.
The speed at which modern conflict unfolds means the time for human decision-making is shrinking.
The Tomahawk missile can fly over 15 humps, striking a target within meters of its coordinates.
The DF-2666 has dual conventional and nuclear capability. This ambiguity is deliberate, forcing any adversary.
A missile traveling at 10 times the speed of sound from launch to impact in minutes gives an adversary almost no time to respond. American precision strike doctrine, noting that the United States military doctrine prioritizes the ability to destroy specific targets with minimal collateral effect. The PLA has invested heavily in mechanized combined arms capability, designed to achieve rapid territorial objectives through...
The narrator speaks about Russian mass fire doctrine. Of rights at warheads on against 100 target.
An American carrier strike group represents the most powerful concentration of conventional military force that a single nation can project to a distant location.
A single swarm operation can overwhelm point defense systems designed for individual targets. The economics of drone warfare heavily favor the attacker.
The impossibility of intercepting current-generation hypersonic glide vehicles with existing missile defense systems. The physics of intercepting a maneuver.
Even a highly effective defense system that stops 90% of incoming missiles still allows 10% to reach their targets. China's anti-access area denial strategy, built around weapons like the DF-21D, threatens aircraft carrier groups from the mainland.
Russia has invested more heavily in this domain than any other nation.
The demonstrated effectiveness of Russian
Modern conflict unfolds simultaneously across land, sea, air, space, and cyberspace.
British cities have take 9 minutes.
Salvo tactics and the deliberate attempt to overwhelm adversary defense systems, sheer motive.
The ocean provides concealment that land-based systems cannot match. The geographic dispersal of Russian submarine forces means that even
the newest and least understood domain of military competition. The most consequential attacks may be those that remain unattributed.
Modern military operations depend on space-based assets. GPS, communications, intelligence collection.
The electromagnetic pulse is a weapon of systemic disruption rather than physical destruction.
Defense saturation, a deliberate strategic goal. The volume of incoming threats exceeds our capacity.
Each explosion visible on screen represents not just a military target, but the resources, labor.
The escalation phase concludes. A moment to absorb the scale of the chaos before the aftermath begins.
Strategists will analyze the aftermath of this exchange as data, drawing lessons that will shape the next generation of weapons.
The continuous nature of weapons production, noting that unlike a battle, which has a beginning and an end, a factory runs continuously.
The events just shown reveal the relative effectiveness of each nation's approach to the weapons race, noting that the outcome of any military...
Raw budget comparisons are misleading. Purchasing power differences mean $1 spent in Russia or China buys it. The human dimension of the race reveals that these individuals are not abstractions.
First, the decision-making burden carried by those who control these weapons. The responsibility of holding on this level of destruction.
The relentless pace of production is universal. Workers building for competing nations are driven by the same economic
The continuous development cycle, noting that even as current weapon systems are being deployed and used, the next generation is already in development.
The race continues, unwavering and permanent. While the horizon expands before us,
Every weapon shown in this documentary passed through hands like these at some point in its creation, and that this human chain connecting raw
The visible surface of this weapons race is only a fraction of its true extent. The most strategically significant programs remain entirely classified. The competition between these three nations is not only about who can produce more of today's weapons, but about who can develop the breakthrough technologies.
Chinese space-based military systems, showing satellite sensor systems. Russia's continued commitment to maintaining a nuclear arsenal.
Exercises as both training and communication, noting that large-scale military exercises serve not only to develop the skills of the forces involved.
The self-sustaining nature of the weapons race, noting that the economic and institutional interests embedded in the defense industrial complex of each nation create powerful pressures. The clarity of the present trajectory is undeniable. The race for technological supremacy continues, marked by both
as new as the latest hypersonic test flight, and the factories will run tonight and tomorrow and the year after, because stopping is not an option available to them.